Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at BellisioFoods.com/careers.
That enough in our whole lives, right? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the morning show here on Main Street TV, where it is a frosty Tuesday here in downtown Jackson.
Right.
And I can't figure this weather out. This is so Ohio fall. It's like 10 degrees in the morning, and then you get in your car later, and you got to turn the air on,
it's
a mess.
It's actually like a desert atmosphere because deserts
Yes.
cool off in the day and they're blazing hot.
Yes.
Or overnight and it's blazing hot during the day. So
Absolutely.
that's kind of what we're living here.
Ice on the grass, and then the next thing you know, your air conditioner comes on.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
yeah, it's a thing. But, welcome to Ohio. It just is. So, well, we have our good friends from the Appalachia Old Car Club here, and we have Marty and John, who will be talking about something really cool you guys have coming up, and it is the 50th anniversary.
Correct.
It is.
So tell us about that.
Well,
oh my goodness.
A couple weeks ago, how long's it been? Well, a week and a half ago, we
Yes.
had our 50th anniversary luncheon. We went up to the Hazlitt Mansion, up to the Jackson County Fairgrounds.
Oh, cool. I haven't been up there in person.
And they have
to go.
Yeah.
the mansion, and then they have the what they call it, the carriage house behind.
Did you get to go in
And-
the tunnel?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
we took a tour afterwards.
Oh.
But they have the carriage house, basically a barn. They've got it set up for receptions and whatever. It's very nice and very quaint in there. And we had Big Daddy's Kitchen from Minford do our catering for us, which was excellent. And
Sounds good.
then Melissa and her dad, Don Morgan,
Yes.
took us, Pete came out and took our picture at the front of the mansion and
cool.
took pictures of our cars. And then we took a tour of the mansion and went up to the ballroom and down in the basement and out through the tunnel and end up in the basement of the carriage house, which is actually where the milking process for the dairy that
Yeah.
Hazlitt's ran there. And then we
So
came
fun.
back upstairs and kind of finished up there. But we had 25 plus members at that luncheon, and we had a wonderful cake, and so it was a pretty good celebration. And we're just glad so many people came out and participated, and these are the people that really help with the
Yep.
with the events that we put on. And we had a older gentleman that was actually one of the founding members of the car club back in the 73, 74 era, Don Mink. He drove a Cougar up there, and
That is super cool.
Yeah, so he's still into cars, and he had a great time. It was good
Yes.
having him there.
Yes.
So-
He's 94. And
Still driving his old cars.
Yes. Yes.
That is some cool,
and
cool
he's also
stuff.
in the Appalachia Old Car Club.
Adrian got locked out.
We'll let him back
I've never
in.
had that happen before.
We'll let him back in.
Oh, poor
Marty
guy.
Flip the knob.
Turn it the other way.
Yeah, I have no idea how that happened. I didn't even know that door locked.
It was the look on his face.
He was like, "Oh, you don't know what we said about you when you left, do you?" I'm just kidding.
It's on tape.
Yeah, it is on tape. Yes, it's on video. It
Well,
must be
yeah.
true. But no, that is so fun. So 94 years old, driving his old cars.
Yes. And he just enjoys it so much. And like I said, Appalachia Old Car Club, I think, gets together once a month and does a breakfast and what have you.
Yeah.
And he's always there. Now, we're not in that club, but we've got connections. Chip
You
and-
meant the Model A.
The Model A Club, yeah.
Yes. Chip and Kathy Smalley's in
Yeah.
it from Jackson.
Yep.
And
Tim
Tim and
and-
Mary Henderson's in it. So they're in our club also. So we get a little information from them. From
Little
time to
intel.
yeah, from time to time. So anyway,
Yeah.
but one of the big things coming up this Saturday is our classic car and truck cruise in at Trinity Chapel at 14545 State Route 93, just down the road here, almost across from Walmart.
Okay.
And we're just going to get together and we're going to give them chips and hot dogs and drinks and desserts and what have you for showing up down there and coming in. And you know, the
Love
other
that.
thing, Jennifer, that we're trying to let people know, you don't have to have a car to come and look.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of the whole point. Is you all that do have the cars would
Yes.
want to share them with people.
Right. So we're encouraging people just to come down and browse through the cars and talk to the owners and find out the history of the car or what they're doing on an upgrade or what have you to their car. And it's very interesting. It really is.
We've even got members of our club that don't have cars. They
Yes.
just want to participate in
Yes.
what we
Sure.
do.
We've got a couple that they're still building their cars.
Okay.
Yes. Tim Wilson's building a car, and he's a local mechanic, and he's just, when he has time, he puts time in with his car.
Yeah.
And he hopes to maybe get it out in the spring and start going with it, cruises and what have
He's
you.
put a
with
lot
us.
of work into
Yes,
it.
he has.
It's a mid-60s Nova, I
Yes.
believe, 66, 67, if I
yes.
remember right.
And I was talking to Bruce Barkhurst just the other day, and he's got a Mustang that he's getting worked on and painted. So
Nice.
we're really interested in seeing that car. So, you know, like we're saying, you know, we've got members that have cars in working condition, but they're upgrading them and what have you.
Yeah. And the whole point is, you know, it's a club. It's fellowship. It's fun.
Yes.
So yeah, no one's going to turn you away if you don't have some
Right.
fancy old car. You know, you can live vicariously through those that do have
That's
nice
exactly
old
right,
cars.
yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people have a car and they want people to look at it and enjoy, ask questions about it, and just
It's like a member of the family,
Exactly.
right? Like, I mean, really, it's like a child.
Yes. Yes.
it's, you know, it's just been amazing to me over the years. Even before I joined the club, I didn't even have my vehicles judged at the car shows. I just wanted people to see them
Yeah.
and bring up old memories and think about what Grandpa drove or what you learned to drive in or whatever. And yeah, it just and this might encourage you to get a car also. If you're thinking, well, what
Sure.
kind of car do I want? You can come out and there's various makes and models, everything from a Model T to a 2000 era Porsche.
Which is so
you know,
bizarre that like we're now in the fact that in the year 2000s is now a classic car. Mm-hmm. Like what? I mean, sorry, but that's just a lot.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about it, Model Ts, I believe just about every Model T is more than 100 years old now.
Yes.
And
That
Model
is
A's are
insanity.
like 90, 95 years old, and we've taken them on.
Oh, I think I don't know what's going on with that door.
We've gone on cruises several times with Model A's and they just chug right along just with
Yeah.
the rest of us. So
Keep right up with
yeah,
us.
it's amazing what those cars can do. 90-some years old. Well, I guess we went up to the Wellston Ohilco Day parade, and I told Tim Henderson that was in front of me, I said, Tim, I think it's running a little rich. He went home that evening, took the carburetor apart and rebuilt it and put it back on, and was at another event a couple of days later, and it was just purring like a kitten then. So, that's some of the things that the members get into. Just, something's not right, work on it and make it right. So.
Yeah, it's so interesting now if you think about cars, from the like Model Ts or Model As up until, the new cars today with all the electronics and, it almost takes the fun out of it because there were so many folks that could take out the carburetor and rebuild it and put it back in and, tinker on their own vehicle, and now not so much, obviously.
Exactly.
Unless you're some kind of NASA scientist, you can't figure it out. So I think that's why these old cars do maintain popularity, but also they bring back memories, and you guys are exactly right. So the old cars that you have, I know, John, yours was what, your grandmother's?
Yes,
Or
1940 Oldsmobile.
so it was a family vehicle, but
Yes.
what do you find that people typically, why they choose a car? Is it because it's a family car? Is it because it's something that they drove when they were young? Why do people pick cars?
Or they knew somebody that had one, and then possibly later on, it sparked their interest. Far as I want one of those muscle cars that maybe somebody in the family had, or their neighbor had, or what have you, and then they start hunting for one and find one and start fixing it up and getting it back on the road.
So cool.
One of my vehicles is a 1956 Dodge panel truck, and it's still got the flathead 6 and 3 on the tree. But Dad worked for G&J Auto Parts, of course. A lot of people knew him through that. And they had I think a 53 or 54 Ford panel truck, and Dad drove that quite a bit, and we rode in the back of it, sat on the wheel wells.
Probably shouldn't do that in
probably
today's
not
world
today.
now, but yeah.
But
Hey, we all survived the pickup truck thing,
yes, we
and the
did.
station wagons too.
yeah, riding
Throw
in the
all
back
the kids
of them.
in the back, like it's fine.
But
No car seats.
No.
I looked around and found this. It's a Dodge rather than a Ford, but it still reminds me of when Dad had that one. And
Sure.
And I was hoping it was going to be my first car. I was a little young, but it was involved in the Silver Bridge collapse. So that was the end of that vehicle. So
Wow.
yeah. So vehicles tie you into so many different things.
Sure.
So many stories. So
I have a 1930 Model A truck in my barn to be restored.
Do it.
Oh, Cheryl she said she has a Model A truck
It was my father-in-law.
to be restored.
It was my father-in-law's, and they used it as a daily driver for quite a while. And it's one of the few things we brought over.
You brought that all the way from California?
Yes, we did.
Okay. There you go.
Well, get it out and then start enjoying it.
That's on the project list. As soon as I have a
Yes.
kitchen.
As soon as she has a kitchen, and also as soon as she has barn doors that shut and other things that she can't find anybody to do.
But it's funny because there's an old photo of our barn hanging on the wall of the barber shop. I don't know why. But there's a picture and there's a truck in front of the barn, and so our goal is to kind of recreate that.
Redo
Oh,
the
good.
thing. That's cool. Very cool.
just
So, did you get the flyer?
yes, he's got it.
There we go.
Okay, thank you.
And that will
Nice
be
colors.
this coming Saturday, 5 to 7 at the Trinity Chapel, which is right down from Walmart, right?
Yes.
Yeah, on the right-hand side if you're going from town.
And you can either enter from, we don't care, you can come in either on the 93 side or from Mayhew Road, whichever suits you. And you can even do a drive-through cruise if you want to. Just look at the cars from the comfort of your own vehicle. But you'll probably see something that you want to get out and talk to the person about too. So.
Plus, you know, it's kind of hard to eat and drive, so
Well, that's true if you're going to get the food.
we got to get you some hot dogs and stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
one thing I wanted to bring up, Kathy Smalley is our historian, and we dumped a bunch of paper
Totes.
on her
So
on
here
her
you go.
lap, and she's gone through a lot of papers, organized everything, and she's written up little things. She did a wonderful presentation at our 50th luncheon that we had a couple weeks ago. And one of the things that was she found so interesting, and I think all of us do, since its inception, this car club has donated $20,000 back into the community.
Wow.
Like John
That's
said,
awesome.
donated into different, he's got a list here he can run through, but donated back. You know, we have one of the lowest entry fees for a car show in the area, and which we may have to raise, but we'll talk about that at a meeting at a later time. But that money is used to different organizations and people around the area, and we try to, since the car club was more or less founded with Oak Hill, Wellston, and Jackson people, we try to spread our donations across the whole county and not just here in town. But $20,000 of people or monies that we've collected from the car show people and other donations. Other people just donate,
Yes.
but we have tried to turn that around and make it useful and helpful to other people.
Absolutely.
Marty's got a nice history there. I think he might want to cover that for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Well, Kathy Smalley again wrote this up. In the late 60s and early 70s, a few fellows from Oak Hill, Jackson, and Wellston started to attend antique car shows in the central and southern Ohio area to display their cars and to look for parts to,
Yeah. Makes
again,
sense.
like Johnny said, work
Didn't
on.
have Amazon back then.
And the Oak Hill community, for their 100th year, which they had their 150th this year,
Sure,
so
right.
for their 100th year, they wanted a car show, and they talked to these guys, and they actually put on that car show in August of '73, and they had 60 cars from out of town and 10 local cars, and
Whoa.
they gave away 44 trophies. And that was even done before the car club was formed. And then these guys got together in May of '74 and started having meetings. Carl Wasmer from Oak Hill was the first president, and there were 13 members. And then in October 26th of 1974, the club was officially organized under the name of Appalachian Old Car Club, Inc., with 34 paid members. So we've got Don Mink and Chris Boyer still living, Mary Nutt and Connie Thorne. Their husbands were in that first group, and their husbands have passed away, but Mary is our financial secretary, so she...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she's very involved with it. And her son even comes up from Cincinnati. He lives in Cincinnati, and he brings up his car and shows it, and
That's awesome.
and takes the rides with us and everything, and was in the Apple Festival parade. That's one of the things we did this year. We tried to make it special for the Apple Festival, and
Sure.
I think we had about 12 cars.
Yes.
I think something
Yes.
like that
Super
in
cool.
in that. But some of the sponsors back in the early days, of course, like most places, was the McDonald's, Jackson KFC with the Marvin Payne.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marvin Payne. Well, he was our president for
Oh my
several
gosh.
times.
Several
yeah.
years.
He's
And
Mr.
he's just-
Appalachia Old Car, I think.
He was a dynamic person, and
Yes.
he got things going and kept them running too.
Yep.
And then the Shake Shop donated quite a bit. And nowadays it's the Sonic and D&W Mobile Homes. And let's see. And then this really surprised me when Kathy read this at our meeting. They started in 1977 helping at the Bob Evans Farm Festival to have car shows there. And at one time, in 1992, they had 268 cars.
So here's the thing. I can remember being in high school and my stepdad and I going down to the Bob Evans Farm Festival to that car show. And it was always such a fun show because there were so many different cars. And people, again, were so friendly and wanted to tell you all about their cars. And I just loved it.
And then they even had tractors.
Yeah.
And Kathy was telling me last night they had stationary engines like the hit and miss engines, which I just find so fascinating, which was used for threshing, and a few people use them for making ice cream now.
Yes.
But she said they even had a car and truck model class where you got the models, put them together,
Yep.
and they had a show of that.
That it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I remember it was an all day thing.
And of course, with the other vendors there, and they had music, and of course, you could get a lot of good food there
Yep.
and stuff. So people made apple butter and cooked beans and did all kinds of stuff. So that was a big event, but they did that for 30 years.
Yep.
And that is a big undertaking because you've got people coming in from all over for
Well,
that.
heck, just getting there is a big undertaking.
Yeah, that's true.
Getting there off the highway.
Yeah. When traffic was backed all
Yep.
the way through here before the bypass was done,
Yep.
I would ride my bicycle over when I was too young to drive. I would ride my bicycle over and just watch all the traffic go around
Yeah,
the corner
it
down
is-
there on
oh
Water
my
Street.
gosh. Oof.
So, and then she's got written here that in 1990, the club sponsored a car show downtown, and it was held on Broadway and Main Streets in cooperation with the Downtown Merchants Old Fashioned Days, if you remember those. And that sort of became the Pig Iron Days, and then we
Okay.
named our car show the Wheels of Steel. And we've done that for 27 years now.
Yep.
So that's just totally amazing. And I guess one step at a time.
Yeah.
But Johnny, if you want to name some of the people that we've donated to over the years.
Yes, Elizabeth Hope, as we know, it's down here in Jackson. Oaks United, they have a food program
Yep.
there in Oak Hill. My brother's place there in Wellston. The Jackson County Heart Support Group, which they do heart and cancer. And just recently I attended their event, and they did very well with their auction and what have you. Jackson County Senior Citizens, we donate to their food program where we do the home delivered meals and what have you, so we support that. Then also Jackson County Homeless Committee, we also donate to that. And then the Buckeye Hero Hunt, that's for our veterans.
Yes, it is. It's
And
really
that's
cool.
that's a very good program that we're going to continue to support. So from time to time, we change some of these up. We find somebody with a request, and we'll add them to our
Yeah, we can't
donation
donate
list.
to everyone every year, but we
Right.
try to change up who we do give
Right,
some money
right.
to
So,
over the years. It says here they even helped with Jackson and Oak Hill's Christmas decorations. And they've given money to burn victims in the Shrine Club Cincinnati Burn Unit. So it's wide ranging, and over the years there's been over 225 men and their families as members. We've never had 225 at one time, but coming
Sure.
and going, we've had
Yeah.
we've affected or been affected by 225 different people and their families. And right now, I'm president. Marty Ross, John Smith is vice president. Secretary is Susie Smith, and then treasurer is Mary Nutt. And we meet on the second Thursday of the month at 6 o'clock, usually at the Trinity Chapel. This month, we're meeting at that little front room in La Rosa's restaurant at
Buddy
6
room.
o'clock.
Buddy room.
And then we're going to have one of our members has the Dream Makers or Dream Maker motorcycle repair shop down in Beaver at the old Hammerstein building, and we're going to have our
Okay.
Christmas party there. So we're kind of excited about that.
Yeah.
So get out and venture a little bit. Maybe drive if the weather's holding out in December. We'll take our cars to that and kind of show them off again. So that's kind of the history that Kathy has drummed up through all the perusing of all the documents.
All of the stuff you
she's
threw
got
at her.
boxes and boxes and boxes.
Yeah,
that
I
she's
took
gone
her,
through.
I think, 4 very large totes with a lot of stuff that I acquired when I became president. It was handed down to me, and I started over a year ago when I was ending my presidency. I was telling the club, I said, we need to get these boxes out, go through them, get a history, because next year, which is this year, we'll be doing a celebration of 50 years, and Kathy is still working on going through. She was saying it was kind of interesting because she said she would find a piece of paper that maybe was a sale bill, but on the back side, the person sat there and did notes at the meeting. It was back when people was more conservative. You know, they would take this piece of paper and instead of getting a new one out, they would just turn it over and start making notes on the back of a sale flyer or whatever. And we found that was very interesting.
Yeah.
That people
feel
did things like
I
this.
still do that today.
Yes, right.
Where did I put that
Yeah.
thing?
And you
Right.
forget to turn it over.
Yeah.
Or if it falls on the floor, then you find it.
Yeah. So anyway, but we appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Just one real quick thing. This Saturday, October 26th, 5 to 7, car cruise in Trinity Chapel Church here on 93 in Jackson. Please attend. And,
Yeah, come on out.
Just look at the cars,
Sure.
even though you don't own
It's
one.
And we
fun.
talked about the weather on Matt's show, and he said it's supposed to start raining a little bit after football Friday night, but it's supposed to clear out by the time
It's
that
supposed to be really pretty.
Yeah.
the our car cruise in happens at 5 o'clock in that evening. The road should be dry and everything by then, and then we should have a nice fall, cool, crisp evening.
Yep.
And just come out and show your cars and talk to everybody and have a great time.
Right.
There you go.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Yes,
Yes, it is.
and again, we appreciate Total Media helping us get
Of
the
course.
word out on this. And
It's our pleasure, and congratulations on 50 years of the Appalachia Old Car Club. That's pretty cool.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Here's to
Okay.
50 more. We'll see. We'll
Yes.
still probably be
We
here,
need,
right?
We need some younger people maybe to continue on, but and we do have some younger members, but we'll take any and all that we can get if they want to help prolong this thing.
That's right. How do, if somebody is interested in joining, how would they do that?
Well, see one of us in the blue shirts
Okay.
Saturday night.
That's a perfect
Yes.
opportunity.
We'll have our blue shirts on with our logo on it and everything,
And my phone number is 740-250-4749.
He's a brave soul.
Yes, throwing that out there.
Throwing it out there.
But it was funny for the car show when my name was on the bottom for more information. And I probably had 8 calls from the Dayton area, from Cincinnati, down in Grayson, Kentucky. People called. The guy in Grayson, Kentucky said, "Are they still going to have those the beans and cornbread?"
They're more interested in the
yeah,
food.
he said, "I don't care about bringing my car up. I want the beans and cornbread." But it was
Fair.
so interesting. You know, I thought every time someone called, I thought, "Oh my gosh!" But everyone that called was so interesting and so excited about coming.
Sure.
That it just made talking to them so nice. And I knew who they were when they came through the line signing up at the car show, and it was so good just to talk to those people, meet them in person, and they were having a blast. And so we were extremely happy, especially the people that come that far away. And I understand they want to know if we were going to have it because of the weather or whatever.
Sure.
And before they drive that far, but we just appreciate the local people coming. We appreciate people coming from 30 miles or 90 miles. So.
Yep.
But it's always good to get out and talk to these people and see what they have. So
Right. Something we started a year or so ago is gas cards for
Okay.
door prizes, so they can fill
Good
their tank,
thinking.
tank up before they leave.
Very
and
appropriate.
and we kind of want, of course, we have different brands of gas cards that we use, but we kind of want them to spend them here in Jackson to help our economy.
That would be great.
And all that. But that's the other thing. We had, I think, I counted, I can't remember the exact number, but we had 100 cars at our car show, and 38 of them were outside of Jackson County. So we're bringing people in from
Heck yeah.
all over Athens and whatnot. And then they're spending their money and helping the fire department and all that when they come here. So eating those beans.
How it's supposed to work, right, guys?
I need
It
to throw
is.
out one last thing. We want to thank the Tourism Committee here in Jackson for their help and sponsorship and money that they give so that we can continue these events.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Good deal. Well,
Yeah.
boys, thank
Well,
you
thank
so
you.
much.
Okay,
Everybody come out and see them on Saturday.
right.
Sounds
All right.
good.
Very good. All right. Well, we have a message from our friends at Benton County Bank, and then we'll be back, and I think we're going to talk about some scary movies.
At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank, rewarding those who serve.
Well, we're back.
We are. Are we back right now?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. Our good friend Tonia stopped by.
Hi.
And so our sweet Adrian had an idea yesterday, and he was like, we're coming up on Halloween time, and he was like, sends me a message. He's like, what's your favorite Halloween or scary movies? And I'm like, oh God, I have to think.
I did not have to think hard about that.
Really?
Yeah.
So, well, okay. So the ones that I chose, the one that I chose, there's an interesting story about. And
Okay.
I don't even know if you remember this movie because I had nightmares about this movie for half of my childhood. Because there's a movie. Do you remember the movie Prom Night? And it came out in 1980.
Gosh, yes.
And
I watched it once.
my, parents, my father at the time owned the Marquee Theater.
Mm-hmm.
So I many times would be on the weekends at the Marquee with my dad. Well, you think about in 1980, I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
Well, he would get busy, and Jen, being the, little inquisitive snot that I was, would sneak into these movies that I wasn't supposed to go into because I wasn't supposed to go into them.
Right.
And I snuck in and watched Prom Night. And I literally, I cannot make this up, had nightmares about this movie for half my childhood.
Oh, wow.
And
At
it's so
5,
funny.
I could see how that could happen.
I would love to watch it again now and be like, why? But so that's the killer though. And the problem, I think what it was is it was so ominous and you didn't know who it was and what was going on. And it was like this dark, creepy
Yeah.
character. And I mean, you think about you're 5 years old,
Yeah.
you're not like processing. So yeah.
Is that the only one you picked?
That one and Children of the Corn totally freaks me out.
Yeah, that one was a little on the creepy side.
And that is our sweet Amanda's nightmare fuel that we used to mess with her
Yeah.
on. But that is Isaac. But Children of the Corn, and that's Malachi over to the right there.
Yeah.
Children of the Corn, Stephen King based, and it was about the what was it? The one who stands behind the rose or lives behind the rose or something.
Something
And
like that.
basically the
I
Children
think I
of the
watched
Corn.
it halfway through and I was like, I'm out. I'm out.
It was like, so basically you've got these kids in this town that the town thrives on corn. They had a horrible crop one year. So the kids, there's this spirit or god,
yeah.
demon that they all start worshiping. And so the kids form a cult, not the parents, the kids
Yeah.
form this cult and then they kill all the adults to
Yeah.
get to sacrifice to
have corn.
the one who lives behind the rose or whatever
Yeah.
the spirit was called. And it's these kids forming a cult, which I think is what is so creepy about the movie, because you've got these like kids that are brilliant
Yeah.
forming a cult of other kids. So yeah. So those are my two that like
Did I have 4? Did I send you 4? So I think my creepiest Stephen King movie was The Pet Cemetery.
okay, more nightmare fuel.
Right?
Yes.
So
yes.
I have not liked cats since then.
I can see why.
Yeah. I have not liked cats since then. And I was always afraid to bury our pets because of it.
We're going to come back.
Yeah, like it was bad. It was bad. Like, nope, we're just gonna have you toss it out the side of the window on the way down to Grandma's house. We're not
Hopefully
burying
it doesn't
that.
find us again.
We're not burying that sucker.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Pet
so-
Cemetery, it'll mess with you.
Well, and when I got older, I read the book, and the book is even worse. Like, I already had the movie in my head.
yes.
But the book just amplified. And I thought, why would I read a book about a movie that I was scared?
Right.
Of course, the movie's about the book, but yeah, it was. Stephen King's brilliant anyway.
He's brilliant, and there's just a screw
Dark,
loose
dark,
somewhere
dark.
in that whole the misery, all
Yeah,
of those.
yeah. And yeah, that was a good one as well.
The Mist. Did you ever watch The Mist?
I read The Mist.
I've not.
I watched the movie.
seen
I've not
Mist.
read The Mist.
I quit watching his movies.
I can understand why.
I've not seen it.
I have not seen it.
I
because
don't have a
that
desire.
One would do me in.
Yeah, I don't have a desire because I'm not a scary movie person. But there are some that are entertaining that don't scare me, but the older ones. So I don't know if anybody remembers Sleepaway Camp.
Okay. Vaguely.
So Sleepaway Camp I don't know, what was it, 1980?
It was like Friday the 13th before Friday the 13th.
Sort of. It was about just camp, summer camp that everybody went to, and they were my age when I was a little kid. We did summer camps, usually church camp, but this movie was just, I still can't wrap my head around it sometimes. Like I tried to watch it again, and maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. I'm like, yeah, it's corny now that I'm older, but it's creepy. Like in the end, who ends up killing all of these people in the camp is completely not who you thought it was the entire time.
Which even creeps you out more.
Yeah, and they're coming out of the lake at the camp, and I'm like, that's not possible. And I'm still a little creeped out about it. And it's
Sleep Away. I had forgotten about that one.
was it 1987 or 84 or something like that?
And Children of the Corn was 84 also.
So that might have been because
Probably.
it was another child killer.
Yeah.
You know, another child who was committing all of the
1983.
83, okay.
So
there was like a whole thing going on back then around that time.
yeah, it was creepy.
And
It was
you
creepy.
think about the first Friday the 13th movie.
That was one of my other ones, the Friday
Which-
the 13th.
Is not.
Wasn't it?
Is a.
Oh no. It
Friday the
wasn't. Nightmare on
13th
Elm
is a
Street.
psychological thriller. It's not a like stab and jab movie.
Right.
Because I had forgotten about it until we watched it. It was just on TV one time last year, and Jamie and I watched it. I'm like, wait, this is like Jason doesn't really come into the picture until 2 on.
Right.
Then it gets stabby jabby.
Right.
But
The Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger.
Nightmare Fuel. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That one was probably the creepiest of all the stab and grabs. Yeah. Yeah. The little chant that they kept saying.
Oh yeah.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. Yeah. I don't watch many horror films because of my experiences in the 80s and 90s with the films they had back then.
Well, what were we thinking? I mean, why did we do that to ourselves?
Because all of our friends were doing it.
I know.
Like sleepovers, and that was the cool thing to do.
true.
Like it was the cool
Yeah.
thing to do, to be up scared all night long when you were 10, 12, 14.
Now, if you just live in real life, it's scary, enough. You don't have to watch a movie.
Yeah. I'd say, though, my favorite of all the movies is the Rob Zombie version of Halloween, because that really made the movie. Like, my husband still thinks that the original Halloween is the best, but I'm bored with it. And I'm never bored with Rob Zombie's version.
Rob Zombie did when he did the like House of 1,000 Corpses or whatever. Like there was like this whole series of them that Rob Zombie did, and they were all fantastic.
Yeah, they were.
Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes.
That was the one I watched the other day. And of course, Jamie was very, very willing to watch it because Jessica Biel is in it.
I'm willing to watch it her.
I know. And there's, shall we say, in that Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, there's a lot of Jessica Biel jiggling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
And all the guys are very okay to watch that. But I'd forgot, we started watching it, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about this movie.
Yeah.
But it's terrifying. I had nightmares that night. I knew I was gonna.
What was the one where you had to cut yourself out of the handcuffs?
Saw.
That I've never got into those either. I'm not a blood and guts kind of horror movie. I'm
I
like
just
the
thought
ones
of
that
one.
mess with your mind.
Yeah,
Like
the
those are the
psychological
ones
stuff.
Those are the ones that I think are more thrilling.
Yes.
I'm not into the blood and guts.
Yeah, no, Saw was, I watched like the original one and maybe like the second one, and then it's just like dumb after that. Hostel. Have you ever watched Hostel?
No.
You will never stay in a hostel if you watch Hostel.
Okay.
I promise you.
Okay. Never heard of it.
So it's, I haven't seen it for a long time. It's basically, and then there's like more of them. It's like a series too.
Okay.
But these kids, you know what a hostel is. Yeah. So it's kind of like a community hotel kind of thing where people stay in the same rooms and whatever. So basically it was like these kids go to this foreign country. I can't remember where it is. And they start like kind of disappearing. And basically there's somebody that's stealing them and taking them to this place where all these rich people are paid to hunt and kill people.
Well, that
It's-
sounds
It is
awful.
crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a whole other. Woo. Every time I see like someone staying in a hostel, I'm like, oh, don't do it. You're not gonna come home.
Yeah.
I actually have one that I kind of want to throw past you guys. I was talking to Jen earlier about
Yeah,
it.
and
The
I-
original Scream.
I agree with him on that. It was.
I don't think I've ever watched all of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Again, I was not ever into.
So Scream and Adrian
The blood and
made good points about this is because Scream the killer in the movie, and we won't divulge that. Is a normal human being, not like Jason or Freddy or whatever, where they're like superhuman
Right.
or whatever. And you're like, but then also Scream is hilarious, which is super strange.
Corny funny.
It's
Yeah.
corny funny, and they're basically, it's a
Making
spoof
fun,
on
yeah.
horror movies, but it's a horror movie
Yeah.
spoofing horror movies. So it's really brilliant if you think about it.
It is. It just wasn't ever my.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
I
get
mean,
it.
yeah, you're terrified watching it too. You're just like,
I hate to jump. Like I hate it when somebody comes around the corner and
Yeah, I
startles
don't-
me.
I don't want-
I
my
I'm
heart
getting
has a
older.
hard enough
Yeah,
time
I'm
beating.
getting
Like I
older,
don't need to. Yeah.
and it's harder for me to hold that bladder. So
I feel you. We
sometimes
women
it just
get it.
happens when no, do not startle me.
Yes, I feel you.
Yeah.
Pete, what's your favorite Halloween or scary movie? Halloween.
The
original one?
or the Rob Zombie versions?
The 1978 one.
The original.
The original.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, where you see the pine tree
bunch
or
of
the palm tree in the back,
Ugh.
and the fall leaves of the
Yeah.
yeah, because it was filmed in Hollywood, and I don't know, I never noticed this before,
I didn't know that was a thing either.
but
I've never
on
noticed.
one of the where she was walking to take her the kid that she babysat,
Yeah.
and drop off keys to the spooky house,
Yeah.
you can see palm trees in the back of the scene.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Funny.
There are things like that in those older movies I
Oh,
now
yeah.
look for. Like
You got to
year
keep
the
yourself
car-
entertained.
Like the
somehow.
year the car is in the movie versus the year the movie's taking place in.
Right,
Like,
or like those hubcaps are not original. Like I've noticed that in movies.
Yeah.
Like no, yeah, I got you.
yeah,
Cheryl,
I don't really do scary. So
she doesn't do scary.
probably Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas. Okay.
Although, you know
Wow,
what?
that's like we're gonna drink our chocolate milk here in a little bit.
Cocoa with marshmallows.
But you know what? I did like there was a series it was a trilogy, and it was like Glass, Shatter, and something else, and they were like psycho thrillers. They were like
Ooh.
Chalamet, M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, okay, okay,
And
yeah,
Samuel L. Jackson was in
okay.
it. And those were creepy.
We'll have to
I don't
continue
do-
on
I
this
don't do
discussion.
Scary
Yeah.
blood, guts, gore. No, I can't do it. But yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any traditions for Halloween? Like on the 31st, what do you guys do? Do you sit down and watch the Halloween movie?
No.
We do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, 31st, we have the movie on right after dinner or during dinner.
Makes sense.
We'll watch Rob Zombie. And then we'll turn around and watch the original version
Cool.
of Halloween.
Fun. Maybe I'll start a tradition this year.
It's the only time I've really watched scary movies.
Well, good deal. Well, thanks for stopping by, Tonia.
I'm glad you asked me to.
Yeah, of course,
It's been a minute.
anytime.
It's been a minute.
Pete Wilson's here. Not that he has any news to talk about.
Oh, yeah, he does. It's all that news happened by my house last night.
Pete, what in the world are you?
Let's trade seats, Pete.
Yeah, come on over, buddy.
Information than I do.
What in the heck is in the water in this town?
It's not the water, it's the moon, silly.
Is it the moon?
Didn't you see the
Oh,
full
it's
moon
the
over
moon.
the weekend?
Is
and
that
like
what it is?
Well,
That
yeah.
would probably make sense.
Right, and I will tell you that sounds kind of corny, but law enforcement officers believe in that. They believe in the full moon. That things happen.
Oh,
All right.
for sure. I'm getting something from the sheriff's office. That's why I'm looking at this.
Good. You can tell me.
It's like we started. It's like last night. I
Okay.
felt like I was in a horror movie because of what.
Yeah, I know. So here we go again. So thank you, Tonia. There's really nothing to report. So
Okay. Well,
we'll let you start, and then we'll.
Right. Well, first of all, to bring it all together, in the last 60 hours, we've had an alleged murder. We've had a gunfire-laced standoff between law enforcement and a murder suspect. We have had a major business fire where a 90-year-old business burned to the ground, where they're still trying to figure out what happened there. And now we've had an armed robbery at a Jackson convenience store.
Across the street from here, by the way.
Right. So, that's interesting to all of you, and it drives us in the news department crazy.
Yes.
Because we're trying to get the information as fast as we can and get it accurate and get it out there. And so we're going to share the latest, and we'll start with the armed robbery because that's the most recent development that
Well,
we've
and
had.
people are still a bit on edge about it.
Right. Well, whenever you have an armed robbery where somebody has a gun and they are out there, still out there, they've not been found, they have not been identified as far as we know, and there's alerts being put out by Nixle. Many people have that on their phones or whatever. Stay inside. This guy, whoever he is armed and dangerous. He robbed somebody.
Yeah.
And we just received information just after 8. It was about 8:44 this morning that confirmed that the suspect is still at large.
Yes.
Now, I had talked to the police very early this morning, and that was still the case then as well. But here is what we know.
Okay.
The robbery occurred sometime just before 7:22 p.m. That's when the 911 call came in. Happened at the Jackson Express convenience store, not just up the street from here.
Yeah.
799 East Main Street. There is what it looks like from the front. Used to be the Main Express, now the Jackson Express. And here's the thing. A lot of information was not available last night other than that there was an armed robbery there. Well, as it turned out, the armed robbery occurred outside the store and did not involve any money from the store. It involved 2 employees, a male and female employee, being robbed out on the lot.
Really? Okay.
Yes, the male and female employee were out on the lot putting trash in the dumpster, or about to put trash in the dumpster. They were approached by a masked man wearing a gray and black hoodie with red shorts, concealed with some sort of mask. I haven't had it specifically described to me what that mask was, but he approached those 2 employees and had a gun, and he took the woman, the female employee, surrendered money from her purse and a necklace. The male employee handed over his wallet as well as his iPhone. A total of $180 was involved. Wow. Either $180 from one or the other, or the total was $180. Sure. But that sum was told to me. The suspect was last seen leaving on foot. Don't know whether he might have hopped into a vehicle soon after that.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Lots of tips came in, well, we hear something, we see something.
Yeah.
The suspect, for sure, from a confirmed verification situation, has never been seen. Nobody was ever pursuing him, or they were looking for him. They have not been able to identify him. Sometimes if you get intelligence, you get tips, and you might be able to figure out who it might be. You work that way, and that can solve it. In this case, as far as I know, not only did they never detect the robbery suspect after he left the crime scene, but they right now do not know who he is.
Okay.
So this morning, one of the things they did when they confirmed the information that the suspect is still at large, they asked the public, anybody with any information about who this might be, to please call the Jackson Police Department. That number is 740-286-4131. Neither of the employees were hurt. They did call the Jackson County EMS to the scene, might have been for precautionary reasons. I have not been told what the suspect might have said, but he did have a gun, and so it probably was a stalking type thing where he was looking for the employees to come out.
Or maybe he knew them.
Maybe so. So all this is under investigation. You know, the police using their years of experience to figure out the possible scenarios and work it from that way.
Well, here's what I can tell you about my personal experience with just the Jackson police and having businesses and whatever is something happens and you might not think that they're obviously working on it. And the next thing you know, you get a phone call several days later and they're like, we got them, we found them, or they're always behind the scenes quietly working.
Well, you know,
So don't get frustrated if you think that they're not doing, that they're not out and about telling everything they know.
well, you know, we got 7,000 people approximately live in Jackson, Ohio. Okay, this is just one way to look at it. 7,000 eyes and ears and minds are better than 10 or 12 at the Jackson Police Department.
Exactly.
So that is why whatever
information you
theory or information you might have right now, they want to listen to all of it.
Yeah, please let them know.
To try to solve it. There's actually been a pretty good track record solving some of these crimes when they've occurred. We haven't seemed to have a whole lot of them in the last year or so, and now we have all these things happening. So
Yep.
you never know. But let's review the update on the Stephen A. Kaiser case. Stephen A. Kaiser is the suspect who is in custody.
Yep.
That's the inmate photo that was taken just minutes after he was arrested and booked into the Jackson County Correctional Facility. But Mr. Kaiser is accused of shooting and killing his wife, Tara Kaiser, in some kind of rage incident out on 4 Mile Road. They were both in vehicles, him in a motorcycle, she in a car. The sheriff, Ted Frazier, believes that he shot at her while the vehicles were moving.
Yep.
Her car wrecked then, and she died a short time later at Holzer Medical Center, Jackson Hospital. Okay, then that was when, after that, the standoff with law enforcement,
Right.
he ran into the woods. There was sporadic gunfire, intermittent gunfire over a period of 4 to 5 hours before he was finally taken into custody, with nobody else getting shot or hurt. But he was in court yesterday, and a charge of murder has been filed. Now, that's just a start. That was to hold him and get the process going.
Sure.
Obviously, there could be charges relating to, the gunfire.
Yeah,
and-
you don't shoot at police. That's not real smart.
Right, and, all that, other charges as well. But he is being held on a $5 million bond.
Okay.
So that's a lot of money you have to have if
I know a lot of money,
if you're going to try to get out of jail. The next thing could be a preliminary hearing in Jackson County Municipal Court, because that's where the case is right now. But probably what's going to happen is the case will be presented to a session of the Jackson County Grand Jury, and they will review the case. There could be the murder charge and maybe other charges.
Sure.
They could change. Jackson County Prosecuting Attorney Randy Dupree, I talked to him yesterday. He would expect there to be additional charges
Makes
that
sense.
would result. Murder. We won't get into too much of a legal definition, but murder is, where you shoot somebody. Aggravated murder is where there's planning
Where you
and
plan to shoot
prior
someone.
calculation. That's worse than
Yeah.
even murder. So, anyway, we will be following up on that. And one other thing that's interesting, we have this sidebar story that's going to go in our Wednesday paper. We haven't put this online either, but we believe that there's a connection here. Mr. Kaiser was supposed to be in court, municipal court, on Friday, the day before all this happened, to answer 2 charges. One of them, violation of a temporary protection order, which we think, although we cannot confirm because of redacted information, involved Tara Kaiser. All right. Also, he was charged with aggravated menacing because of an incident on Thursday, the day before, where he allegedly pointed a gun at a female and threatened her in her place of business, which was in the city of Jackson. So,
But not the wife.
well,
Or do we don't know.
technically we don't know.
Okay.
And I don't know even unofficially.
Oh, wow.
It's just that information, that part of the temporary protection order, it was redacted at this point.
Okay.
Because of legalities and procedure
Sure.
and whatever. But once again, this did involve a female, and we know what happened on Saturday.
Yes.
So it's possible that Mr. Kaiser, at least allegedly, pointed a gun at the same woman
Okay.
that he shot and killed
Okay.
2 days
I
later.
see.
And the fact that she had a temporary protection order when that happened indicated that there had been problems in the past with threats, at least. Okay, so that sidebar story will be in our Wednesday edition as well. And people always kind of say, well, my God, threats. Well, why isn't anybody doing something? Well, that's why you have the temporary protection order. If you violate that, then you can get in real trouble.
Yeah.
Just being around somebody, you don't even have to do an act of violence.
But you have to go through the process.
Right, and there is
I know people get frustrated
there is a
with
difference
that.
between killing somebody, shooting somebody, and threatening to do so.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are always concerned. Well, my God, it's just saying and doing are not the same thing.
The world and
the way it
it's
works.
The world of the law.
Right. Okay, and we hope to get information. We have not got it yet. The report from the Wellston Fire Department about the Skateland fire.
Okay.
Now, of course, that occurred, for the folks who don't already know this, in the early morning hours Sunday. I think closer to like 4 a.m. or something like that, we think. But we don't have the cause of the fire or anything like that, but, nobody there or anything like that. But that 90-year-old business, Stewart's Skateland, I think formerly known as Wellston Skateland, burned to the ground. And Jeremiah Shaver did talk to the current owners. And right now, everybody wants to know, are they going to rebuild? They have not decided whether they can do that or not. They would like to do that, but it comes down to financial feasibility. As I said, that it's been in the Stewart family for many years. Dale and Carolyn had it for many years, and they sold it to a relative about 2 years ago.
Okay.
So we will see what happens there. We will have in-depth stories on the Skateland fire, the Stephen Kaiser episode, and, of course, last night's armed robbery. We have not heard the police chief, Brett Hinch, yet, but some of the other police officers and police spokesmen told me what they could. So that information, by the way, now is online that we talked about here on Main Street TV.
What this says from the sheriff's office, as you were talking, per Chief Hinch, it is safe to resume normal activity, but the suspect from the robbery has not been located. If you do have any information, please contact local law enforcement.
One of the things that I was told at the police department this morning, I'm sure Chief Hinch was out very late last night.
He was.
They do believe that this was an isolated incident. There wasn't anything else that happened that this perpetrator might have done.
Okay.
Because, there was some social media activity last night. Well, this was happening over on High Street. This was happening over on Bennett. I did have it confirmed that there were things that happened, but it did not have anything to do with this suspect of this robbery, as far as they know.
Okay.
But people see the activity, they see the police car, or they heard that there's trouble down the street, and they think, it's all tied together.
Yep.
And so it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't in the cases that we know about, at least.
Very good.
So there we are. Can I leave now?
Poor Pete. Have you gotten any rest in the past 3-4 days?
Not a whole lot.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll pray that nothing exciting happens in the city. We always want some interesting news, but I mean, this is kind of taking the cake. Whew. All right. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. Thanks to our friends from the Appalachia Old Car Club. 50 years celebration.
And so we'll have some coverage coming on that too.
Super cool. All right. And let us know what your favorite scary movie is or Halloween movie. And we'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye-bye, everyone.
From breaking news to heartwarming stories, the Telegram is your ticket to the latest buzz in town.
Read your daily dose of local headlines, sports, and entertainment and more, in hand and on paper.
Get a print and digital subscription for only $7.95 per month. Delivered fresh every Wednesday and Saturday.
Visit thetelegramnews.com or call 740-286-3023 today.
Don't just read the news, be a part of it.